Right now, let's discuss this further. We're now joined via Zoom by Thembisa Fakude, Senior Research Fellow, Africa-Asia Dialogues. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Now, talk to us about, South Africa again maintaining its position, abstaining in the 193-member assembly, that obviously saw the 141 member states back the resolution that was just taken now in the UN.
Yes, it's only history will judge South Africa's position in this regard. It's not the first time since this war started that South Africa has taken the position that it's taken, and it continues to say that it encourages peace and negotiation to this conflict. But of course, we are not viewed at the moment positively by the world because of the positions that we've taken regarding this war. We are rapidly being sidelined and, labeled as those that are siding with Russia. Just a quick reminder that today is the last day of those joint drills that are taking place between China, Russia, and South Africa in the eastern coast of South Africa. So all those kind of things add salt to the wound, and I'm not quite sure how they will or the impact they will have on brand South Africa. It's certainly going to be a negative impact. That whilst the Ukraine and the world will be commemorating the one-year anniversary of the invasion of Ukraine by Russia, South Africa is engaged in war games with the same aggressor.
And just talking about that, in terms of the implications, of course, we know that this will have somewhat of implications to brand South Africa. But what about international relations, particularly at a crucial time that South Africa finds itself in, particularly from a financial position?
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult for South Africa moving forward to even play a role of negotiator because of the position that it has taken. So, excuse me, it's going to be very, very complicated moving forward.
Pardon you. And of course, the controversy around what is currently happening, what is currently happening with South Africa and Russia conducting, naval exercises, particularly around this time, South Africa being told that it is not maintaining a moral high ground in this situation. Again, questions of, is South Africa taking a financial risk, just by doing this one particular exercise, and can it afford a fallout with the West?
I don't think South Africa can afford a fallout to the West, given our economic condition at the moment. We need to encourage the relationship that we have with the West. But unfortunately, our foreign relations is taking a different posture, and it's very insistent, notwithstanding that there's been criticism in this regard, but you continue having a situation where South Africa is behaving as if it's a powerhouse in this regard, and we know why, of course. South Africa is part of BRICS, and South Africa is quite close to Russia for historical purposes, notwithstanding, of course, that it was not Russia that actually supported South Africa during the days of apartheid, which is one of the reasons that we're often told why South Africa remains strong in terms of its relationship with Russia. It was actually the USSR, and most South Africans were in Ukraine during the struggle against apartheid. So it's going to impact on us eventually in terms of economic participation and relations with the rest of the world. We've seen today there was an inclusion of South Africa. South Africa has been grey listed as one of those countries that cannot be trusted in terms of financial flows, and we are now ranking or included together with countries such as South Sudan and Chad and Libya because of certain political decisions that we have taken. So it's bad news moving forward, and one hopes that South Africa will take a much more different position in this regard as the war continues or enters the second year.
But if we had to, scrutinize some of the rationale that South Africa is giving in terms of, keeping a neutral position because of its history, as you've said, with Russia, but also more importantly, ensuring that there are peace talks that are encouraged as opposed to applying, sanctions that may aggregate the situation even further. Does that not speak then to not only the relationship, as you've also mentioned, the BRICS, but also to the role South Africa has been playing in mediation?
Well, first of all, I don't think that opportunity still exists, given that we are participating on this very, very important day, the 24th of February, when Russia went to invade Ukraine. We are participating in some sort of friendly drills or military drills with Russia. So our neutrality is certainly going to be questioned in this regard. And I'm not quite sure whether Ukraine and other countries will want to see South Africa involved in negotiation or trying to get involved in efforts promoting peace. So that's the first point. The second point that I'd like to, reiterate some of the statements that were made by Bishop Tutu before he passed on regarding the fence sitting or the neutrality in times of injustice or of war. He said that those who remain quiet when there is aggression or injustice occurring are with the oppressor. And South Africa, unfortunately, has taken that position, contrary to what our forefathers would have embraced at this point in time, which would have been, number one, quite vocal in terms of condemnation of this aggression, because it is an aggression. Right now, we see this one-time destruction of infrastructure in Ukraine. We haven't seen the Ukrainians destroying the Russian infrastructure, but we've seen thousands of women and children fleeing their homes and homes being destroyed by by Russia. So we have to take a position to, at least to condemn that those atrocities that are currently taking place in Ukraine, and we're not doing that. Instead, we're sitting on the fence, and while doing so, we are compromising chances of us being invited to play a much more meaningful and constructive role in this regard.
Mr. Fakude, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Really do appreciate it. Thembisa Fakude, the Senior Research Fellow, Africa-Asia Dialogues.